Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a pleasure to go through the journey of entrepreneurs. Their passion for work, solution orientedness, willingness to learn or unlearn, high sense of responsibility, passion, strong determination to succeed all comes naturally to them. I remember reading the story about Walt Disney. Walt Disney didn't live to see the opening of Disney World in 1971. On the inauguration day, when the reporters commented how they wished Walt Disney was alive to witness his dream project, his wife replied, "My husband had already seen it. He knew how the Disney World would look like. And this is the result of his vision, his dream. We are all witnessing it now." So Walt Disney was a successful leader because he had a vision. You know why I'm quoting it here. Entrepreneurs are visionaries. They would have envisioned how their business would evolve even before they ventured into it. Welcome to yet another episode of Center Stage. This is Pratima, State Director for Technology Roadmapping, CIMSME Karnataka. Center Stage is an initiative by Karnataka team to recognize successful entrepreneurs who have carved a niche for themselves in their respective businesses. They are problem identifiers and solution creators. Center Stage program is aligned with yet another initiative of CIMSME India, that is Brand India 10,000 SME. Without much ado, let us dive into knowing two very dynamic guests for today. Well, pregnancy period of 9 months, the most cherished and challenging, especially for the first time moms. How about having someone by your side 24 by 7, physically or virtually, to answer all your questions, reduce the anxieties, educate you on every single aspect of prenatal and postnatal health, providing nanny service, and much more. Our first guest for today is a health and fitness freak, as confessed by herself. She is the co founder of I Love 9 Months. She is also the chairperson for We Karnataka. With over 18 years and in excess of 18,000 hours of wellness consulting, a highly successful and acclaimed wellness coach and a certified doula and specializes in pre and postnatal holistic wellness. The effectuator and subject expert in the team. She leads the design, development, implementation, and promotion of prenatal and postnatal holistic wellness for I Love 9 Months and heads the operation of Urban Nanny. I Love 9 Months has its presence in Trivandrum, Cochin, and Bangalore. I Love 9 Months has won many state and national awards, the important one being winner of Indo-Israel Healthcare Challenges Award, presented by the Prime Minister of India and Israel, and recent being Women Entrepreneur of the Year 2020 award by EVIT and NASCOM. I would like to welcome the exuberant, ambitious, fitness addicted, if I may say so, Miss Ganga onto this show.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much, Pratima.
Miss Ganga, you are into a space which is less explored, especially in India. So, my first question to you is what drove or inspired you to start a venture of your own, especially the prenatal and postnatal domain?
Yeah, Pratima, like you said, a fitness freak. Used to run my own studio where I used to train hundreds of women and men, of course. And there I used to come across a lot of women coming during pregnancy and post-pregnancy to stay healthy and to stay fit. And they would narrate to me about the problems they go through during pregnancy, and new moms would talk about post-pregnancy. And at the same time is my help in the studio, who used to help me with the cleaning and maintaining the studio. We used to call her lovingly Bibi Jan. And she was pregnant. And she would come and tell me her problems. And I realized this, the problems are the same for BB or for my clients who used to come. The problems are the same, though they might be at two different levels, but problem is the same. So she was the one who just said that, you're doing it for maybe the women who come here, but what about there's so many other women you don't know? That's what she said. And that just clicked. And I wanted to do something. And later on, the inspiration came from my daughter, who presented this as a business case for TIE India. And they were the winners, and they went on to Asia Pacific runners up. And but then she went off for her studies, but that thing was still there. And then she said, when you do this, why can't you do much more for more women? And then we realized that technology is the only way forward. And that's when we decided to start Alignments, digitally open for millions of women and not just limited to, hundreds of women who used to come to my studio. So there are two people. One started with my help in the studio, and then it was my daughter. And I Love 9 Months was born. Yeah.
Wow, such an inspiring story, Ms. Ganga. So could you please tell us more about I Love 9 Months?
Basically, we are in a space where we are trying to give a 300-degree support to pregnant women and new moms. So when I say 360-degree support, we support them digitally, and offline, we support them through exclusive maternity-specific home health care. It doesn't stop there. We also create infra for feeding. So we manufacture breastfeeding pods that could be placed in public places where a nursing mother can sit and comfortably feed the baby, because we really lack that in India. Not many public places have adequate breastfeeding pods. And we also manufacture lactation pods, which can be put in the corporates where women can express breast milk when they come back after the maternity leave. They can pump breast milk, store it in the fridge, and take it with them when they go back. So the breastfeeding pod we have already placed in many of the metro stations in Kerala and southern railway stations from Kanyakumari to Thrissur. And lactation pod is there in a Techno Park in Trivandrum, where there are a lot of companies, so women come and mix milk and store it and take it with them. So I Love 9 Months is trying to provide a 360 degrees support to pregnant moms and new moms, so that anything and everything they need, they come to us and we help them. Yeah.
I'm sure like this is such an interesting topic, especially for women here. Before we dive more into this topic, let's welcome our second guest. Developing a strategic technology plan can be a complex and difficult task, and not everyone has the skills to do it effectively. Mr. Job Thomas has over 35 years of experience in driving overall IT strategy and IT operations, inclusive of defining the IT roadmap, budgeting, technology evaluation, and evangelization, building scalable applications on cloud, and execution of multi-million dollar, multi-location projects. He has worked with organizations like Electronic Technology Company in Bangalore, Funschool India Limited, and MRF Limited in Chennai, Coca-Cola India and SmartLinks VoIP networks in Hyderabad before starting his consulting virtual CIO consulting services in Hyderabad. Past 8 years, his organization has been in consulting roles that include ERP implementation, digital transformation, AIL evaluation, IT governance for financial services, PMO for e-governance, PMO for a GSP service provider, virtual CIO for manufacturing, SME, etc. Mr. Job is also the National Advisor for Digital Transformation, CIMSME India. Welcome to the Center Stage Show, Mr. Job.
Thank you, Pradima. Namaste to all.
In an age of digital transformation, high growth, and intense competition, Many job roles are being virtualized. So, this new kind of job role is gaining traction as a cost effective way to provide smaller companies with the senior experience and expertise of an executive role. So, technology is complex and it changes fast. So, what was the trigger for you to start your own venture?
Yeah, so Pradima, I would say I'm a more of an accidental entrepreneur than by choice. Basically, after 28 years of my stint at the corporates, the last project, I mean, the last place which I was working with was a startup. I was managing a startup as director and CEO. So it came to a stage where we didn't have enough fund to take it forward, and we had to sell it to someone outside of India. So after that, they were not requiring most of the employees, especially the top people. They didn't want because they had already a team in Spain. So it was a Spanish person who purchased it. So then I was looking for a job and I couldn't get something which I wanted. I mean, what probably happened is, since my designation was director and COO, people were not uh, thinking that I would fit into a smaller role or something like that. But that was not the case. So then I thought, okay, there is no point in looking for a job, since I know this is the only field I have been in for the 28 years. I didn't know anything other than IT. I said this let me think of doing something of my own as a consultant. And those days there was this concept available in Europe and US where people were working as virtual CIOs. So I took what they were doing, what are the things they are doing, and then created a service portfolio of my own. And then me and my wife together started a partnership firm, and that is how I came into entrepreneurship, basically.
Oh,
By the way, my wife is also a trained software engineer, though she has not been working for some time. That was a combination. That's why I took her as my partner too in business, basically.
so both our guests are into family business
Yeah,
now,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, in India, most of the businesses start like family businesses and they go on to become the largest conglomerates and things like that.
Yeah. Typically, what is the role of a virtual CIO?
Yeah, so basically it is very similar to what it happens in larger organization where there is a CIO designate, or now it could be a CDO, or so many other names they are into. But the thing is, the same roles we want to give it to the smaller organization who cannot afford such a highly experienced person, or currently it is run by a network engineer or a system administrator, and most of their decisions are based on what type of vendors come in and sell to them. So those people are not in a position to decide whether this thing is right for them or that thing is right for them. So we thought we will give our expertise, and we also have been working with lot of vendors, and we know what the capability of each vendor is. So we will also do vendor management for them. That is the starting point we had. Basically, we will give strategy and vendor management for smaller organizations. So that's once we started, then we have extended it to 4 spheres. So now we do strategy, we do governance, we do improvement in the existing operation, and we also recommend. I mean, first we study the impact of a new technology in a firm, and then recommend whether it can be adopted by them or not. So these are the 4 areas we offer now.
Okay. So coming back to Miss Ganga, you spoke about I Love 9 Months and the Urban Nanny. Could you please tell us what are these two different companies and the services offered under these?
Pratima, I Love 9 Months is the company, and Urban Nanny is one of the brands. And so that is where we provide physical and emotional support at home. That's why we say I Love 9 Months is a tech and touch company. So on one side we help moms digitally, but on the other side the touch fan. When it comes to maternity, we feel that whichever technology you have, but the last mile human touch makes a lot of difference during maternity. So that's how we came up with the idea of birth companions, and we call them sahodris. So when I say urban nanny, they are sahodris. Sahodris means sister in most of the Indian language. If you see, it means sister. So they provide physical and emotional support at the comfort of their home. So during pregnancy, we have different packages. They could just go for a few hours, and each one of them carries a tab which has a very standard protocol, which is validated by the doctors. So they go through the protocol, check if they have any red flags, if they're comfortable. Suppose if they are in the 28th week, then we have a lot of trackers like Kick Tracker to see if the fetal movements are okay. If there's sometimes when they're going in the last trimester, then they would help them with what to carry in a hospital bag when they go, how to identify contractions, when to call a doctor, if there is bleeding, what is the first step that you need to do. We also help the family understand during labor and birth how they need to be helping the mom. Then we have something like a labor support. So during those labor, it could be 10 hours, 20 hours, 72 hours. There would be somebody to support you throughout. So they can be around for the family also, because I have seen families also getting very anxious during those times. So there is someone, so a lot of things could be just given to her who will manage, and then she will be around till the mother does the first breastfeeding. So that is labor support. And similarly, postnatal, you have during the first 6 days of how to initiate breastfeeding, how to help them with breastfeeding, identify breastfeeding challenges. And later on, we have restoration phase, where we have postnatal therapy, the ancient Ayurvedic therapy you do for 28 days. It's very common in Kerala, and most of the southern side of India, we follow that for 28 days, right? So they give postnatal therapy, including abdominal binding, postnatal massage for mom and the baby, and being there for the mother for maybe 8 hours. And then there would be another package where you want to stay there for 12 hours, the whole day. They'll stay with you. If you want somebody to stay overnight and be there. And recently, what we post-COVID, what we saw is the maximum demand was for somebody to just take care of the baby when the mother is work from home, right? You're locked inside a room, taking calls and all that. Can we have someone who's trained? Because all these women are trained and certified. So can we have a trained woman taking care of the baby? So they are also trained to identify, suppose a baby falls, what is the first thing you need to do for a head injury? Or if the baby is choking, how to handle emergency situations, hygiene, infection control. So these are the different packages when it comes to urban nanny. So right from conception to when a child is of 2 years of age, we would provide them physical and emotional support. Digitally, you have a connection with the doctors. You can teleconsult with the doctors, especially during the maternity period, during the journey of motherhood. Anything that you would need from gynecologist to, it could be a pediatrician, it could be a dermatologist, it could be a dentist, because dentist during pregnancy is very different, right? Dentistry during pregnancy. So you have an Ayurvedic doctor on consult, so they can do teleconsult. And they can also, if they don't want to do a teleconsult, there is a question answer forum where they can still post questions anonymous if they don't want to put names. So still they could consult online and get all the support. So these are the kind of services that we offer during from 0 to 2 years of the first 1,000 days of journey of motherhood.
This is in fact a huge list of services, I can say. Do you have a
60-degree support? I mean, anything and everything that you need. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any competition in this space here in India?
Pratibha, if you look at it, a lot of players in maternity space, but each one doing maybe one thing. There are a lot of apps, mobile apps for pregnancy. There could be a lot of aggregators bringing people together. Or there could be a home health care who is mostly into elderly care, but they might even do a nanny service. But like us, right from everything in one place, no, we don't have competition, direct competition, competitors, basically. Yes.
And do you operate outside India too?
We have signed an MOU with one of the largest home health care companies in Bahrain. And we were supposed to start, but with travel restrictions, already the staff is ready, visa ready, everything. So we're just waiting for the travel restrictions to get relaxed, and then we're starting soon. But we already have an MOU with them. Yeah.
Wow, that's really so nice.
Yes.
A request to the audience, if you have any question, please type in the question box. You can see that on the right-hand side of your AidMeet window. Coming back to you, Mr. Job, most companies have a hard time keeping up with their core business challenges, let alone managing their technology properly. So even small IT teams are often overwhelmed simply trying to keep internal systems and operations up and running. So how do companies benefit from having a virtual CIO?
Okay. So there was a question from Roshan why it is virtual CIO and not consultant CIO. So why virtual CIO is it is see we are not into an operational role, so we can have our services deliver anywhere in the world. So that is why we chose to have the name virtual CIO. So I need not be physically present in that location unless otherwise the client wants me to be there. And for them it is more expensive also because we charge for the to and fro travel, we charge for the boarding, everything. So the other way, when we are doing a daily, monthly, or hourly rates, they just need to pay for the services they are taking in that particular period of time. So that is why more we have mentioned it as virtual CIO. Now, last years, everything is virtual, so that meaning doesn't have much of this thing. But 8 years back, that was the concept at which we have been. So now how the basically how the people are benefiting from us is like you said, the current team, they can concentrate on what is happening and keep the switch on and things happening there and all those things. And most of them maybe not that experienced people who are running it. Like I told you, in the segment where we are working, where the turnover of the company is from 100 crore to 300 400 crore, most of the time the person called the IT manager is either their uh, network engineer who has been there for 10 years and have taken that post, or is the system administrator after 5 10 years he has taken that post of an IT manager. They may not be aware. I mean, one thing is most of them don't concentrate on the business aspects of things itself because they are so tied up with the regular operations of things. They run right around with screwdrivers and things like that to fix something, or run with cables to connect some things. Or so their thought process is only to see that whatever has taken, I mean, whatever has been existingly operational, keep it up and running. So since we have worked with larger organizations, and most of the time it is a matrix sort of an environment we had in this large organization, we also know each and every corner of the business. And especially because if you're implementing an ERP or something like that, you need to know every function in an organization, even to tell a consultant this is how you have to configure things for them. So since we know business much more than probably the existing team, we can give them basic inputs on what are the new things or what new technologies can be used to improve their existing business or to deliver their business plan. So most of the time when we enter into an organization, we only talk to the senior most person there, either the owner or the CEO designate of that organization. And we only talk first time their business plan. We don't talk anything about technology. And once we know what is their business plan and where they are having challenges, that is when we recommend whether a technology solution can solve their challenges or they can solve it using some other things and process changes or something within their organization itself. And we are not hardware sellers and we are not software sellers, so we don't have this thing of selling something to them. We only sell service, right? And the service what is required by them. That is how organization benefit from people like us.
And what kind of customers do you cater to?
Yeah, so like I said, we are looking at organizations which are not single location in the first place, because when it comes to multi-location only, people find difficulties in managing things, and that is when technology comes in handy. Because if you look at it, this 100 to 300 crore industries, most of them currently what we operate are run by the founder themselves. Even now, basically, there is no professional CEO or professional MD or someone already there. They're run by the founders themselves, and for them to let off their control over the organization is much difficult. So that is when we talk to them and say that now you have more than one location. You cannot be present. You can't be omnipresent as an individual or physically there. So use technology to see and to take care of the same controls which used to establish in a single location. So we are looking for clients who are in the turnover of 100 to 400 or 300 crores, having multi-location, and they have an internal team to take care of their existing IT function. Yeah, that is the sort of clients we are into.
Okay, and do you offer service in any other field apart from IT?
No, I don't know anything other than IT, so why should I?
Okay. Ms. Ganga, the type of business that you are into requires a lot of trust from the client as well as the employees. And setting up lactation pods requires huge investments. So, what are the challenges that you face or faced in the past in your business?
See, if you ask me in the journey of entrepreneurship to start with, I would say it was like after
Not exactly the journey of entrepreneurship.
the business.
Yeah, your business actually. The current.
Yeah, that's a good point because we are in a space which is maternity, and Indian healthcare is still very, very conservative. So to enter into hospitals was a big challenge. So the content that we made, we had to get it validated by doctors. So though the company was incorporated in 2016, Pratima, but by the time we were fully operational, it was 2018. Because the kind of content we had to validate everything by a medical professional. And even after being validated, still there was a resistance from the from the healthcare side, especially the doctors.
Okay.
But at that time we were talking about digital support for women. They could teleconsult, they could get everything online, all kind of support. It was not welcomed very well. But look at what happened. Once COVID happened, today everybody is into teleconsult, right? Every doctor is doing teleconsult. So when you do the right thing, though it was a challenge, but when you do the right thing, Pratima, it just works. So right now we have got a lot of support now. Post COVID, we're really being supported. So there are individual doctors who really believe in this concept and are supporting us. Hospitals yet to come forward. The management level is okay with it, but when it trickles down to the doctors, there is still kind of resistance because there is a fear of clients being taken away. I really don't know how that can happen, but they're bit resistant. So that's the biggest challenge in the maternity, in our kind of a business, yes. And investment wise, we were lucky because as you know, we were the winners of India-Israel Healthcare Challenge. And that opened us doors to a lot of stuff. Like we got incubated in T-Hub in Hyderabad. We were accelerated in ISB, which was excellent. And then down the lane, we got funded by KSIDC. Seed funding happened from Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation. We got incubated in Kerala Startup Mission. We were seed funded by Kerala Startup Mission. So that way, that one award opened doors to, a lot of avenues for us. Yes.
So coming back to Mr. Job, given a project, how do you assess its current status and go about building strategies? Do you follow any methodology?
Yeah, so we basically have a 7-step process which we follow, where first thing what we do is an IT maturity analysis. This is a simple questionnaire where they have to answer yes or no. So this will be mostly given to the departmental heads and they have to say yes or no. And based on this thing, we know what is the level of the current IT maturity of the organization. Then we create a business architecture for them. This is a forward plan, basically. It is not the current one, it's a forward plan. And based on the business architecture, if they tell that this is what exactly they will be doing in the next years or 4 years, based on that, we create a information system architecture. Then we look for solutions which fits into this architecture, and then we plan how the migration has to happen. We control the change management process, and then we look after the implementation and the governance. So this is a process we follow for most of the things, but there could be some cases where we just have to do only two things, which is the change management and the governance strategy. There could be another place where they just ask us to only give the solution preprint and nothing else. So it varies from this thing, but this is a methodology we follow, whether it should be first step, second step, or all 7 steps based on the organization's requirement. Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Ganga, we discussed about the challenges that you are facing in the currently in the business that you are running. Okay, so now my next question is, like, as an entrepreneur in an entrepreneur journey, like it is, I mean, an entrepreneur journey is actually as challenging as it is exciting. So, as an entrepreneur, what are the challenges that you face starting from ideation phase to having your first setup or getting your first customer? Did you face any specific challenges as a woman entrepreneur?
Pratima, an entrepreneur, irrespective of woman, it's a challenging journey, right? It doesn't really matter. But when you decide to start something, after the founders have put in some money and then you start off, the next challenge, the biggest challenge is to get the next round of funding. That is from your family and friends, right? This is the time when the investor comes in. So it is from your family and close friends. It's very challenging because they are putting in money on your idea, right? You're projecting an idea, you're projecting a business plan. So you want them to put money into your idea. So that's a very, very, very difficult stage. It has to be family and close friends. So that was one. Secondly, all of us are domain experts. Like, it started by 3 women, myself, Anjali, and Suma. All of us are domain experts. We are not techies. And we have one person who only knows technology sitting right here. And we don't know anything about technology at that time. So it was a challenge how to use technology, because in technology, like you were saying, you don't create for today or tomorrow, right? You have to think far ahead, which is going to come much in future. We couldn't do that. So the learning curve, it took a lot of time for us, because we outsourced to a tech partner. He was very good, but at the startup stage, you tend to compromise because of the cost issues. Now with the US-based VC who has come in, we have an excellent tech team working for us. And the fourth one would be, I would say, piloting your project in the startup. So the first project that you want to pilot, it is, like I said, Indian healthcare is very conservative. So it was very difficult for us to get attached to a hospital or to a doctor and get our first pilot done. But luckily, we are one of our advisors as doctors. 3 doctors in our advisory team. So with the help of them, we could actually pilot our product. So technology was one big challenge, and initial funding, I would say, was a challenge. And piloting. These are the 3 major challenges that we faced in our space, and had to wait till the big funding came in. So we hung on.
And same question to you, Mr. Job. What are the challenges or issues, problems that you faced in realizing your idea and into getting your first customer?
Yeah. So since I had that opportunity to run a startup, I have learned what all things you should not know before I started my entrepreneurship. So one thing I learned was to keep the monthly expenses as minimum as possible. Okay. So the first thing what I did is, initially for the first two clients, I was operating from my home only. I never had an office. Then I thought that just to get that address, I have taken a place in a business center. So there we had in Hyderabad, I had the opportunity of sitting in where they provided me a virtual office plus option. Those days it used to cost me 5,000 rupees a month, and I had 5 days of cabin in that this thing where I could meet because that was the cheapest location in Hyderabad. Then the second thing is we never had any employees of our own. We decided that we will be four partners who are independent. They can, I mean, except from me and my wife, there are two other partners. They are also independent, but we will complement each other because I have expertise in certain business domains. They have expertise in certain other business domains. So if I need help on a, say, I have never worked with a pharma, but my other partner, he has with Merck. So those sort of relationship we could have, and the client used to benefit out of that. So that way there was no employees. Whenever we require anything to be delivered, it was outsourced to a third party. So I never had to look for funds because we were living in with whatever I mean, this I learned again from the place I worked with, MRF. The chairman of that company used to sell balloons. Okay, we started making tires, and every factory that was built by him was internally generated resources. So this and every annual meeting, he narrates the story similar way till I left that company. And till he was alive, he used to tell everyone. So this builds certain things into your mind also, okay? And the employees there, how things can happen. So even now, my belief is for any startup, don't go for looking for funds. If you know that your product could be sold, that is the best this thing that people, if you want to invest, they will come to you once you make sure that money is going to come for your service. The biggest problem everyone faces, and I faced this in finding the customers. The first customer, luckily, as soon as I had to move out of that company, my other director, he had referred to me a company where just in the process of implementing SAP. So that is where I got my first client. Though the thing is, after my first presentation, they decided I don't want this person. So that was the first this thing. Second client also came from similar reference. I mean, basically there was another person I knew, and that line I have never seen in my life. That was, they were into maintaining private railroads. That was the first time I knew there are private railroads. I had to sit on a trolley and travel 80 kilometers on a private railroad to understand what all processes they were doing. So there again, they wanted a specific solution. We came up with the solution, but the cost solution was more than what they spent for their employees. So they also decided, we don't want you. So that was the second case. But the third case, somehow I had a 4-year association with them. So that is when things started happening, because 2 years I struggled basically to get clients and things like that. But after that, it was good. And this year we have taken up a new things which I never thought that we will be into. We have done some hardware sales, combined some solutions to one of our clients, which I never thought I'll do it in my life. So I, because I set a target to achieve 2.5 crores this year. So I thought I have to find out new things, how to make that 2.5 crores. That was the idea. Yeah.
Wow. So great insights from both of you. And Mr. Job, even I didn't know that there's a private railroad. Oh.
Yeah, not me, I think either.
Yeah. So this is a line coming from Dhamra Port to the East Coast line. This is run by L&T. That time it used to be L&T and Tata. I think now Adani has taken up. It's a private port. So they import coal, and that coal has to go to different locations. So to come to the main railway line, they themselves have laid this 80-kilometer line.
Okay.
Like that, it seems there are in many places, because the company I was consulting, they are into private railroad maintenance for past 20 years.
Okay. Ms. Ganga, you have received many awards, but this one looks so special, the Indo-Israel Healthcare Challenge Award, presented by the Prime Minister of India. So when was this? And please tell us more about it.
Yeah, so this was in 2018, 2018, 2019. That's what I said. It opened up a lot of avenues for us. So there was a healthcare challenge happening, and there were a lot of startups in the challenge. But like I said, we are in a space, not many people actually venture into that space. And because, like Mr. Job was saying, it is a struggle. I mean, for us to find the footing, it took us time. But so that was the time they found this to be so different from usual startups doing, and all those who presented. So ours kind of stood out, and they thought that it definitely has a lot of it's a need of the hour, because we work towards IMR, improving IMR and MMR, right? Maternity mortality rates and infant mortality rates. So that's how we were selected, and part of it was to be incubated in T Hub. And so it's very special because that award was presented by Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and Netanyahu was there, Mr. Netanyahu. So it was an amazing moment, and we had a very lovely session in IIM Ahmedabad post that. So it opened up a lot of learning for us, actually, that award. Yes, it's
And
very.
how was Israel concerned with this thing?
Oh, they because technology-wise, Israel is far, far ahead. So you should see the kind of innovations that happen in Israel. So there was an event happening where India and Israel was looking at tech, startups and various startups, but tech startup was also one of the space that they were looking at, and so there were a lot of technology startups as well. But definitely ours stood out in the sense there was something very, very different. So that's how we were the healthcare challenge winners, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure there must be such a proud moment,
Yes.
winning as well as receiving award from the
Yeah.
Prime Minister.
We cherish those moments. Yes. Yeah, we do.
Okay. Mr. Job, you're also the National Advisor for Digital Transformation at CIMSME India. What are your plans and initiate under this role?
Yeah, so this was basically the idea of this is to help whoever is our members as well as people outside our members also who probably in a paid mod or something. But for our members, if you look at it, the last 1 year has been challenging to many of the small and medium entrepreneurs, basically, because most of them didn't know how to sell digitally. Most of them didn't know how to do a customer call digitally. Most of them didn't know that everything what you have to do for some period of time has to be with the use of either a mobile phone or a computer or through a third party, something like a GST filing or this thing which cannot be physically done at that last 2-3 months or something like that. So the whole idea is how to enable them to conduct their business fully digital. I mean, there is a misconception that digital transformation is just building application and giving it to them. No. So the thing is, digital transformation has three things combined. One is there has to be a new business model altogether, because without that, there is no point in calling it as a digital transformation. Second thing, there is a major cultural change within the organization itself. You just assume that a small company which is just producing some metal parts for 20-25 years, they know that this is my input, this is my output, this takes me 4 steps to produce. They were never thinking of bringing anything inside as a application or a real-time data capture terminal or anything like that so far. Now when the competition is more and they need to survive, we are now consulting a customer who wanted to have a real-time capture on the shop floor, and they don't want any vendors to do it. They are forming their own team, and with the help of some interns which they are selecting from the engineering colleges. They wanted to build the entire application so that the knowledge what is going to get is going to stay with them. They don't want it to be part with something else, because that is going to be their competitive advantage. I'm saying the same thing could be given to other companies also, who are basically, today morning also I had a call from a gentleman who was referred by our Kerala chairman Sushil. He was basically doing some creation of he's basically into creating drawings, 3D drawings for architects and things like that. So since there was this lockdown period, they are also moved into basically creating miniatures of things. So models which is be acquired, which probably may not be there as a ready-made product. So they are also doing. So his problem is, they are 4 employees. How to control them? He's saying, whenever I call, they say there is no power, there is no internet. So he also says, yeah, in our place, power goes off, internet goes off. So he tried to believe whatever they are saying is right. So I said, okay, there are options available. Let us look at it. But the best thing for you to transition them from a fixed salary basis to a variable pay, where you say you fix the performance. That is, in a month they are supposed to do 8 designs. If they do anything more than 8, then their income is going to be double of what they are going to get, something like that. I just gave him an example, so that they are motivated at least to deliver that 8, which compensate the salary paid to them. So I'm saying, so there are people facing challenges, they don't know what to do. So we can definitely help them in multiple ways and take their existing business to newer heights. So that is the whole concept of this particular role in CIMSM.
Okay, so Ms. Ganga, coming back to you, you are recently honored with the role of chairperson V Karnataka. So, what are the initiatives that you have planned for women in Karnataka?
Yes, Pratima, it's a recently moved in. Very happy to be a part of this family. Since it is V, which stands for Women Entrepreneurship and Empowerment. So V is trying to create an impact in the space of entrepreneurship and empowerment, and we intend to do it through awareness, support, and engagement. If you look at it, when a woman wants to become an entrepreneur, like I said, I know the challenges that I went through when I wanted to start something. So there would be small things, but that plays a very important role when you want to become an entrepreneur. So how can we first create an awareness, starting from digitally and offline, outreach programs? Like, we should be able to identify entrepreneurs right from college, because there is that kind of a talent there. So how can we get college students to be inspired and to be empowered to think to become an entrepreneur later? Once we do awareness, how are we going to support them? So like I said, so can we support them with by collaborating with financial institutions like banks, and which would help them to give loans to set up an industry, business, or can help them with business coach who will help them on how to take their business one level up, or if they're starting off, how to kickstart? Or can we have a life coach for the employees, especially during COVID? We have seen the kind of problems the employees have been going through, right? And then, so these are, and legal and statutory compliance. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that in the beginning. So can we give them all this support? We should be in a position that any woman wants these kind of support, they come to we, and we should be able to provide these kind of support. Not just leave it there. Engagement, which is so important, with awards, recognition, collaboration. Create an ecosystem where there's an open conversation and discussion on these things, and right from mentorship to funding to everything. So how we can create an impact by awareness, support, and engagement. And we have plans laid out, and hopefully we'll see some success stories in the coming months. So
yeah, I'm sure you will. I mean, kind of personality that I'm seeing in you, I'm sure like you will be able to take it forward.
Thanks, Pratima. I'm really passionate about it. Let's see.
All the best to you in
Thank you
your
so
new
much.
role. So now, both of you are running very challenging and demanding businesses. So it's very easy to feel to get burned out. How do you cope up from the stress and chill out?
For me, like I said, uh, for me it's workout, Pratima. I'm a hardcore fitness freak, so workout is one way of punching. It could be my punching bag also. So if I do boxing, then I take it out all over there. And then when I do yoga, I calm down. It starts with fitness, it ends with fitness for me. Other than that, it's gardening. I really love plants, and one of my purpose of my life is to kind of nurture a coexistence of human and animal world, and see urban jungles. So one of the purpose of my life is that. So gardening, trees, animals. I'm an animal lover. I have pets at home. So these are the two things I think my world revolves around these two.
So are you going to set any fitness goals for your CMSME team?
I would love to. I'm just wondering, if I can get a virtual yoga class, I can do a yoga class for them. I can even do a box class for them so they know how to deal with their stress.
Yeah, boxing would be better, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and some kicks too.
Okay, how about you, sir, Mr.
Yeah,
George?
so basically for me, whether it is good or bad, I'll first try to hum a hymn. That is my first starting this thing. Other than that, basically the thing is I like watching food shows. So that is my another passion, and of course news channels. So and the thing is I keep up learning things, because that is one thing which I cannot sit without doing, because things are changing so fast. So unless I learn, I can't tell my client what it is. So some time is spent. So whenever there is huge pressure, I'll come and learn new things. So it is just self learning. I mean, it is nothing like that. So yeah, these are the ways in which
Do
it
you
gets.
cook, Mr.
Exactly, that was the
Yeah,
question.
Yeah,
yeah.
even
I
I.
I
mean,
have to
if
watch.
if need be, yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, I leave it to my wife. But once in a while, I make certain things which I like to eat. So so
So
yeah.
know where to meet next time, not airlines or hotel.
Oh,
So that's
Yes.
all.
in fact, when you ask me about cooking, I have cooked for almost 15 people from our office in our guest house. So there was this. I mean, we had a new boss who wanted to have bonding, and the evening we are supposed to make our own food. So we had a guest house, so we were given. So I cooked for all. I made a chicken dish which
Oh,
everyone
wow.
released, and they said you have an alternate career if you are not successful in in this field.
Okay. So let's see if we have any audience questions. I think one question by Mr. Roshan, which Job has already answered. So we don't see questions there. So
For Ganga,
lastly,
there is one.
sorry.
For Ganga, there
Oh,
is a question from Roshan.
is there a question from?
I
Oh,
can't.
okay. Oh, there are a lot of questions. I'm sorry, I missed it. I think. Okay. Mr. Roshan has a question for
Yeah, I
Mr.
can see.
Job. Do you have a framework or questionnaire to assess if a company needs a virtual CIO? I do
Yes.
have answered this, right?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
so basically, what he is asking us whether there is a framework to decide whether they require a
Okay.
virtual CIO
Yeah,
or
yeah,
not.
right.
In fact, I had made a similar this thing during our design thinking workshop, which was
Mhm.
conducted by this thing. We had created a framework which anyone can use to get a consultant. So
Okay.
probably that is their this thing.
And how does a BCM differ from CO? What is BCM? Any idea?
No.
Mr. Roshan, if you're listening, could you please message in the group what is BCM? Meanwhile,
Is
we
it
can
a
move on to
business consultant? Probably, I'm
the
not
business
sure.
consultant management.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so before,
CIO is specific to technology. No other this thing is.
so fine, let's move on to the next question. How does one know what they now need a yeah, okay, now
That's what
just
I
do it.
told just now.
Yeah,
Basically,
how can, yeah.
before that, there are two questions for Ganga.
Yeah. How can one avail the service of a Sahodari?
Yeah, so there are various ways of doing it. We have a website which is called the urbannanny.com, where they can go and they can put a request for the for service. We also have two mobile apps, Prego for pregnancy and Cuddles during post pregnancy. So through the app also they can go and there is a number where they can get in touch, and then we can the Saudi depending on the needs of the client. So both the ways, they can just call up a number, there is a number for that, or they can go through the website or through the app also.
Okay, there's one more question from Mr. Roshan. What expertise does the Sahodari carries? Are they certified or something like that?
Yes, they are trained and certified, Roshan. They're trained in the field of like breastfeeding, postnatal care. They are taught about how to, handle labor, how to teach them comfort measures during labor, how to identify postnatal depression, how to take care of a baby, the swaddling, burping, right from the sleep patterns to the food, the how to feed when the mother is not around, whether it's breast milk or solid foods. What is the nutritional foods that the mother should be having for the lactating mothers? So they're actually trained and skilled in various subjects, which is required to provide that kind of a service. So they are, of course, they are trained and certified by experts.
Okay. Mr. Roshan has replied. He says BCM is Business Continuity Manager.
Yeah, so business continuity management is only a small portion of the CIO's role. Basically, it comes under the governance part alone. But for a CIO, it is much more. They have to decide on the strategy for the next 4 or 5 years, depending on the organization's requirement. They have to decide on what are the infrastructural changes which has to be there. They have to be deciding on how to improve the existing activity levels of the the applications which has been deployed, also the people's capability building. The people all who are already there, they need to be made capable of handling larger roles and also the new technology. So there are capability building exercises that has to be done. Then also we do basically, like I told, if there are some new technologies which the client is interested in, we do a impact study and tell them whether it is good for them or bad for them. So the role is larger. BCM is only a smaller part of the entire larger.
And we have appreciation note from Bhagyalakshmi to both of you. She says it's awesome listening to you both. And this one is for Ganga. I wish your service were available when I had my child 22 years back. I think even I also said the same thing when I heard about your service.
And it's not changed, Pratima. It's the same, and it's going to be the same for years to come. Pregnancy, post-pregnancy challenges remains the same. So, yeah, both make a difference.
Okay, and Mr. Roshan also has a note for you there. So maybe you can just read. So he says Ganga is really living the name, giving and giving and giving. So that's really a nice compliment to Ganga.
Thank you.
The job is also living by the name. Okay. So thanks to all the audience for their questions. So now moving on to the last segment of this show, Mr. Job and Mr. Ganga, what's your message to budding entrepreneurs? Let's start with Mr. Job.
Yeah, so the thing is, there are basically people have some myths like you can start a business only with plenty of money in your hand, but that is not correct. At the same time, you should, like I said, the first thing what should understand is how to manage your money. So if I suggest anyone, the first recruiter, if you're going to recruit somebody, the person you should recruit is an accountant who has
True.
to put everything in black and white, and you should be, because the compliance requirements are getting more and more these days. So first person, or you have application like Tally or something where you yourself can do it, but the thing is accounting is a must, this thing. So you should know that whatever you're getting and whatever you're spending should match. At least in the initial days it is difficult, but that is one thing. And the other thing what I'm saying is you should not wait to have a perfect service or a perfect product to launch. Even if you have a smaller, I mean, say your minimum viable product, you have it in mind with 10 functionalities, but try to even get the first functionality paid to you. So you start with the first, if you're building an application, even one module should start paying to you before you start going on this thing. Because if the first one itself is rejected, what is the point in having the 9 more built into the same solution, right? So try to monetize things faster. That is, yeah. So these are the things which I think any new entrepreneur should look at it. They should not wait to make money. But as soon as they see that there is a possibility of making money, they should start with that product. Because if you know, when the world's largest selling software, Windows, was built full of bugs, right? It's only after so many years it became perfect. So it is, so you don't have that much even liberty of having so many people to build the Windows operating system. Also, you will be an individual. Also, make money in the first chance.
That's really a good advice. What about you, Miss Ganga? What advice do you have?
Mr. Job said the most important things. Let me just, yeah, I would say to the entrepreneurs, there are a lot of problems to be solved. So just jump in and seize the opportunity. So not you need to think beyond getting a job and doing a 9 to 5 or sitting in an office and working for someone. I think you need to seize the opportunity. There are a lot of opportunities out there. Use technology for good. That's something that I would say very, what to say, very particular about. Use technology for good. And once you jump in, three things, Pratima, it has to be there in any entrepreneur to survive. 3 P's is what I call it's patience, perseverance, and persistence. If you have these 3 P's, you have to succeed. So the other most important thing, Mr. Job already said about the money part of it. And let me just 1 second to tell you that because we outsourced it to a very good firm, when my US VC, when the funding happened, the due diligence just happened like that because everything was so up to date. We didn't have any problem with due diligence. If any entrepreneur is trying to raise money, when it comes to due diligence, it can go months if your accounts are not in place. And that's one of the most important things Mr. Job already said. So I think that's what I would like to say, the 3 P's.
No, I will add one more thing. The thing is, it is not necessary the original idea is yours.
No,
You can
yeah.
make a business of an already existing idea also,
Correct.
right? Because if you look at it, many people have successful after copying from someone. Take the case of Facebook itself. It was not the original product. He has got it from somebody else and he has made it big. There are many such cases. The original idea could have with someone. Uber and Ola, they are two different. The idea is the same, but both are successful, right? So it is not necessary you need to have a original idea. I'll give you an example. There is something called a global service jam, okay, which is basically a 48 hours workshop for using design thinking. I had an opportunity to participate in 2015. We created So there were 4 or 5 teams. Each of us created different things as a business model. And what we created was related to travel and tourism. After the competition was over, the whole world's idea, I mean, whatever they were created, it was available for everyone to see. We have seen the similar business model created in 5 different countries. I'm saying 5 different countries. So the thing is, people are thinking in similar lines in different places. So original idea need not be there. You can basically have somebody else's idea. If you know how to execute it well, you will be the winner than the person who had a thought of that earlier.
Yeah, true. So it need not be original idea, and if you see a requirement in the place that where you're living, I'm sure it's okay to
Yeah.
start off with that.
Yes.
So I hope the audience got the 3 P's and the money that matters. So with that note, we are coming to the end of this episode of Center Stage. On behalf of the Karnataka team, I thank Ms. Ganga and Mr. Job for coming on this show and sharing their experiences and success story. So, dear audience, we'll listen to 2 interesting business stories today. One conveyed that necessity is the mother of invention. So, it means that the primary driving force for most new inventions or services, it may be, is a need. Similarly, the other story conveyed adversity is the mother of invention. So, which means out of clutter, find simplicity. From discord, find harmony. So, in the middle of difficulty, opportunity. Thank you for joining us on this show, Ms. Ganga and Mr. Job, and also the audience. We will come back with more stories and more learnings in our coming episodes. Till then, this is Pratima signing off. Thank you and have a wonderful, fit weekend.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Pradima. Thank you for hosting us. It has been a great evening for us. Thank you.
So much.
It was a pleasure, Pratima, talking to you.
Yeah, my pleasure too. Thank
Thank
you.
you.